Hello and welcome to another book picker video. Today we are going to start a new series called The Kane Chronicles. The Kane Chronicles is a new series that's very similar to Percy Jackson. This is because they are both written by the same author who is called Rick Riordan. Similarly to Percy Jackson, The Kane Chronicles talks about mythology. Percy Jackson talks about the Greek mythology, meanwhile, the King Chronicles talks about Egyptian mythology, and that is why I'm so excited to talk about it today, and that's why I also think that we should not waste any time, and let's get started. The narrators of the King Chronicles are the Kane siblings, Carter and Sadie Kane. But at the beginning of the story, they barely know each other because Carter lives with his father, who is called Julius, and Sadie lives with her grandparents, who are called the Fausts, because Sadie and Carter's mother died. After Sadie's mother died, the Fausts took Julius Kane to court to see who would get to keep Carter and who would get to keep Sadie. And the judge decided that Julius would get to keep Carter and the Fausts will get to keep Sadie. But Julius will get to see Sadie 2 days a year, one in the summer and one in the winter. So our story really begins when Carter and Julius go and fetch Sadie from London, where she lives. So when they go, Julius tells Carter that they are going to spend the whole day at the museum. So when they arrive with a taxi, Julius waits with the taxi and tells Carter to go fetch Sadie and meet him back here. So Carter goes to fetch Sadie, and when he comes back, he overhears that Julius is talking to a mysterious man, and he sees that this mysterious man is wearing a black trench coat, black sunglasses, and a black hat. So him and Sadie sneak around and hide behind the taxi and overhear Julius and Amos, but they don't understand what they are really talking about because they are talking quickly and in some mysterious words. What they do understand is that this mysterious man is called Amos and that he is almost going to fight Julius because they were almost shouting at this point. But then Sadie jumps out from behind the taxi and stands in front of Julius, and Julius becomes so happy that he forgets about his argument or fight. So then they all ride the taxi except the mysterious man called Amos, of course, and they go to the museum. When they arrive, Julius tells Sadie and Carter that they are going to see an ancient relic that is very important. And when they arrive, they do see it, and it is the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is an ancient stone that has some writing on it, and this is how archaeologists are able to translate the ancient hieroglyphics from Egypt into English and other languages. So after Julius, Sadie and Carter all see the Rosetta Stone, Julius asks the security guards to go out of the room and go fetch him another important artifact that we do not know the name of. But the security guards trust him because he is a famous archaeologist, and they leave, leaving the Rosetta Stone unguarded. When Julius sees that there are no guards in the room, he asks Sadie and Carter to go fetch him something from the taxi that he forgot. But in reality, there was nothing he needed from the taxi. He just wanted to get Sadie and Carter out of the room for some. When Carter and Sadie leave, Julius starts doing his work. And his work was, he wanted to use the Rosetta Stone's power to do some magic. The reason that he wanted to do magic is unknown to us right now, but of course we will get to know this later in the book. So when Julius is doing his magic on the Rosetta Stone, suddenly in the middle of his work, it shatters into a million pieces, and a mysterious man appears. But this mysterious man is nothing like Amos, who we talked about earlier, because while Amos is tall, this man is also tall, but he is larger than any human being, and he is also not a human being because his face is, you cannot see it because it's magical. Sometimes it appears as human, but sometimes it appears as different animals. And also his body was covered in fire. So when Julius saw this man, he immediately panicked and started shouting at the man, saying things like, "You are not welcome here, and I did not summon you, I summoned him." But then the fireman replies, saying that when you tried to summon him, you summoned all 5 of us. Of course, this mysterious talk, we do not know what it means, but it has some logic and context behind it. We shall know what this means later. We shall also know the name of this fiery man, but I shall say it now. His name is Set, and he will later become the main villain of this story and series. Anyways, at this point was when Sadie and Carter came back into the room, when they saw the mysterious man named Set talking to Julius, but they were standing behind Set. So when Julius saw them, he tried to tell them to go away, but Sadie and Carter would not leave. So Carter picked up a stone and threw it at Set, but it passed right through him and he did not even feel it. So then Set summoned a magical sarcophagus, A sarcophagus is an ancient Egyptian coffin, and he summoned it right around Julius, trapping him inside it, and then he closed it on Julius. Then he did some magic on the sarcophagus, making it phase right through the ground. This of course killed Julius. After that, when Seth turned around, he saw Sadie and Carter, and he made them pass out. Then after Seth and Carter passed out, they woke up again in the same room. They saw that it was clean again and that there were no shards of the Rosetta Stone, but they saw that there were two more people in the room, and Seth had disappeared. One was a woman and one was a man. The woman asked the man if they should kill them. Them refers to Sadie and Carter, but the man responds saying, "Not now." And then Sadie and Carter pass out again. After that, when Sadie and Carter woke up for the second time, they got questioned by the police. But first, Sadie woke up in her room, and a police officer told her that Carter is being questioned downstairs in the living room and that she will have her turn after him. A few hours go past, and then Sadie is summoned downstairs into the living room where she is also questioned. But before she is questioned, she is told that Carter kept saying that a mysterious man appeared and disappeared once, and that a sarcophagus melted into the ground, and that he was saying some hallucinations and some weird stuff. Of course, this was the truth, but they could not believe this. So Sadie told them that it was true and retold the story, but they did not believe her. And the policeman said if they did not cooperate with them and tell them the truth, which they were, but he did not believe them, that if they did not tell him the truth, he would have to arrest them. But right after he said that, his eyes became unfocused, and then he said no, that they would not be arrested, and that they would have to be deported. Deported means to be kicked out of a country and to go to a different country. After that, he walked out of the door with the other policemen, and right after he walked out, another person walked in, and it was Amos, the mysterious man. Amos explained that he is Julius's brother, meaning that he is Sadie and Carter's uncle, and that stuff will get weird and very dangerous for them if they do not go with him. He said that it would be dangerous and weird if they did go with him, but it would be less weird and dangerous than if they stayed. So he said that he would take them to New York, where they would live with him and go on adventures. And he said that they would have to go quickly and in less than an hour because they were in a hurry. But Carter told him that it was impossible for them to go in less than an hour, even if it was an airplane. But Amos told him that it was not an airplane that they would use. He told him that they would be using a magical boat. So before they headed out of the house, Sadie went back to pick up her stuff, and so did Carter. Most importantly, Sadie got her cat called Muffins. This may seem not important right now, but she will become really important later in the story. So then they headed out and jumped on the boat, and when they jumped on it, immediately started moving at super speed. And in just a matter of a few seconds or minutes, we do not know, they appeared in New York. When they appeared there and they jumped off the boat and the boat disappeared, they walked for some time and came to an empty lawn or an empty space. Then Carter and Sadie asked Amos, "Where's the mansion?" He told them to look again. When they looked again, they saw that the mansion was really there, and it was 5 stories high, and it was the biggest building they had ever seen. When they came to the door, Amos asked Carter, "How do you open the door?" Of course, Amos knew, but he wanted to test Carter. Carter told him, I don't know, but Amos told him to try. So Carter thought for a moment, and then he took his hand like this and aimed it at the door, and then moved it upwards, and the door did move with his hands, and Amos told him that he did a very good job. So after they entered the mansion, Amos told Carter and Sadie that they are welcomed to the 21st gnome, and he explained that there are 360 gnomes all over the globe, with the first one being in Egypt and the 21st one being in New York, where they are right now. He then said Khufu, which is the name of a baboon which was there, and he said that he was their servant in this mansion. He also explained that after Sadie and Carter's mother died, Julius was exiled from the other magical community and magical policemen, and that they kept a watch on him, and that's why he kept traveling all over the world, and that he was an Egyptian archaeologist was just his cover-up story, and that he was planning for a long time to do something with magic to resurrect Sadie and Carter's mother. We will talk about this more in just a little bit. So after that, Amos told them that he cannot continue explaining to them when they are at night because it was dangerous and that they would not understand anyways because they would be sleepy. He then showed Sadie and Carter their rooms and told them to go to sleep. When Carter went to go to sleep, he found out that his pillow was very heavy and uncomfortable, so he decided to throw it on the ground and not sleep with it. So when he went to sleep, he found out that this was a big mistake, because when he went to sleep, he dreamt that he was some sort of bird and that he was traveling around. Then he suddenly appeared into a desert where there were two people, but they were not exactly like normal people, because the first one was half rooster and half human, and also he had some parts of a snake. The second one was half toad and half human, and he also had parts of a snake. While they were talking, the fiery, mysterious man Seth appeared, and he asked them where they were currently, and they told him that they were in a desert area called Arizona, which is in America. And he told them that this is good. Then the Toad Man asked him, what about the five? This is the same five that Seth talked to Julius while he was in the museum. He told him not to worry about it. But then the Toad kept asking more questions, so Seth got mad and he pointed at him, and then he turned into dust. Seth then gave the Rooster Man some instructions that we do not know about, and then he started laughing and said that he will make the biggest storm that will never disappear. And then Carter woke up. When he woke up, he went down to explore some more in the mansion, and he found out that they have a pool which has an alligator in it called Philip. Then he went to have breakfast with Amos and Sadie, and Amos explained that the Rosetta Stone was fixed again because they could use magic. Because then he showed them that he broke a plate in front of them, and then he took out his wand, which very few wizards use wand, and then he used it on the plate and said some weird things which fixed the plate. And he also explained that his brother Julius was trying to summon the god Osiris, which is the god of death in Egyptian mythology, to try to revive Sadie and Carter's mother. But of course he failed, and he summoned 4 other gods. One of them is Set, and the 3 others we do not know of currently. After that, Amos stopped explaining. When Sadie and Carter asked him to continue, he told them that he cannot continue now, and that he has some work to do, and that later, in a few days, that he will explain everything to them. And then before he left, he told them that they can go anywhere they want in the mansion except one place, and that's the library, which is out of limits. Immediately after Amos left the table and went to do his work, Sadie told Carter that they have to go and explore the library. Carter told her that they would be in a lot of trouble if they went there, and also asked her that even if they did not get in trouble, how would they go? Because the library had giant doors that can only be opened by Amos and no one else. Then Sadie told him that they will not be opening the doors, they will be breaking them. Before Carter could ask how, Sadie raised her arm, and then she started talking in ancient Egyptian. Then some magic hieroglyphics appeared in the air. Nothing happened for a few seconds, but then a giant explosion happened, breaking the doors. But thankfully, Carter and Sadie were not harmed. They then entered the library and found that there were bookshelves forming a circle around the entrance, and that in the middle there was a pedestal that had 2 things. One, their father's work bag, and another, a papyrus scroll. First, they opened their father's work bag, which only had one thing in it, a clay doll. They noticed 2 things about it. First of all, that it had no legs, and second, that it had some words engraved on its back, spelling Doughboy. When Carter read the words on the back, the clay doll came to life and explained to them that it is a Shabti, or in ancient Egyptian meant an answer, and that all Shabti are made by magicians to do their work for them so that they do not get tired or die. So then after Carter and Sadie knew that Doughboy would answer any of their questions, they started asking him questions about what happened to Julius Kane. Doughboy told them that he does not exactly know because he was just in the bag, but he told them that he thinks that Julius is dead because he was put in a coffin, then put underground, which usually kills a person. But then they asked him why he did not have any legs. He told them that because when Julius Kane made him himself, he cut off his legs so that he would not come in his full power form and kill Julius. They then asked him if he did have his legs, would he try to kill Julius? And he told them that yeah, probably he would try to kill him. After a few questions from Sadie and Carter, Doughboy decided that he was tired of them, and then he declared that his job here was done, and then turned back into his clay doll form that did not have a life. After a few tries from Carter and Sadie to wake Doughboy up, they found that they could not wake him up, and decided that they will try the next day. Then they went to the papyrus scroll and read it. They found that its title was The Demon Days, and it explained that in ancient Egypt, they believed that there were only 360 days, like the 360 degrees of a circle. But then the 5 last days came when the goddess of the sky, Nut, gave birth to 5 new gods, each on a different day. These 5 gods were Horus, Isis, Set, Nephthys, and finally Osiris. And it also explained that on each birthday of the gods, that god would be the strongest. For example, Set's birthday was on the 3rd demon day, and that would be the day where he is the strongest, and nobody could beat him. After reading the scroll, Carter and Sadie recognized some of the names. For example, Set, they recognized him as the evil guy that killed their father, and Osiris as the god that their father tried to summon. They also, after some thinking, they decided that Set's birthday, the 3rd demon day, was after 5 days, where he would be the strongest, and that they have to beat him in any way, shape, or form before his birthday, because if his birthday came and they did not beat him, then there was no hope of them winning. Before they could talk more or read more books, they heard a loud crash upstairs, and they heard their baboon named Khufu screaming. So they ran up the stairs to see what was happening. They ran up the stairs as fast as they can, and then they entered the living room, where they found that their baboon Khufu had destroyed the entire living room in a panic. They searched for the reason of Khufu's panic and found that there were 2 monsters outside of the glass walls. And they were monsters because they had the bodies of cats, necks as long as giraffes, and the heads of snakes. Carter recognized them as the long necks that he had seen Seth talk about in his dream. Then Carter pulled out his sword in case he had to protect himself, Sadie, and Khufu. Sadie was about to pull out some hieroglyphics, such as the exploding one that destroyed the library wall, but then Carter told her not to worry because the mansion was protected with magic and the long necks would not be able to enter. But as soon as Carter said it, he regretted saying that, because then the long necks started smashing their heads on the glass walls. The first time nothing happened, but after a few tries, the glass walls shattered and the long necks were about to enter. But before they could, the mansion's albino crocodile, Philip of Macedonia, came and started attacking the 2 long necks, and Khufu decided to join the fight, while Carter and Sadie waited at the back because they were afraid. But then at that moment, Sadie's cat Muffin started walking around Sadie's legs and started meowing. Then Sadie remembered what Amos had told them, that Muffin would protect them at all times. So then Sadie took Muffin in her arms and then she threw her into the air, saying, "Muffin, protect us." Then an explosion came, and from the explosion came a woman with knives in her hands. Carter recognized her as Bast, the goddess of cats. So after a few minutes of chopping up the Shabti men, they were reduced to such thin slices that they could not move again. But at the same time, Sadie had not yet created a portal. But before Carter and Bast could talk to Sadie, they heard a weird clicking sound, and they looked to the right. They saw hundreds of scorpions coming together in the form of a woman. Bast told Carter and Sadie to run away because they had no chance of surviving a battle with the goddess of scorpions, Circuit. So then Carter took Sadie and they ran straight into the museum itself, and Carter did not have any certain destination. He just wanted to get as far away from Circuit as he can. While they were on their way, they saw the female magician that they saw in the first museum accident when Julius Kane was taken by Seth. So they ran into the female magician that they had met in the first museum accident when Julius Kane was taken by Seth, and her name was Zia Rashid. Carter explained to her their problem, how Bast was protecting them, and how Circuit was trying to kill them. Zia told them that they did not need to worry because she was going to protect them from Circuit and that she was going to defeat her and push her back into the Duat. But she told them that that does not mean that they are her allies. She told them she is only protecting them because the only thing she hates more than them are the gods. This is because she is with the House of Life, and the House of Life hates anyone who summons the gods, but more importantly hates the gods. So then she took Carter and Sadie and went to the furthermost room of the museum and told Carter to draw a protective circle around them using some chalk that she gave him. And then she gave Sadie 4 statues that she told her to put in the 4 directions: north, east, west, and south. Then she told them not to leave this protective circle and that in 5 minutes a portal will appear behind them. Carter asked her why wouldn't a portal just appear right now. She told him that portals do not appear at any time. They appear at certain auspicious time where magic is the strongest, like sunset, sunrise, and even some days, like the last day of the year, the first day of the year, the demon days, the eclipse days, the first day of winter, and the last day of summer, etc. She then walked out of the circle and told them that she would be protecting them from Circuit and that she does not have to stand in the protective circle because the House of Life trained her to defeat gods. When Circuit came into the room, Zia immediately did not give her a chance and started using fireballs on her and trapping her in fire cages and stuff like that because she is a fire elementalist, which means she specializes in fire magic. But in the end, the way that she used to trap Circuit and get rid of her is she used a certain type of magic that can only be used once a year. It's a certain technique that can only be used once a year, and it's called the 7 ribbons of Hathor, and it can be used to banish any god. So she used it, and the ribbons tied around Circuit until no part of her body can be seen. And then the ribbons started going in closer and smaller until there was no Circuit in them, and everyone knew, including Zia, Carter, and Sadie, that Circuit was banished into the Duat. At that exact moment, the portal appeared behind Carter and Sadie, and they were pulled through it. And Zia then jumped through it after them. They appeared in the Cairo Museum in Egypt, of course. This was because they wanted to go to the first Nome, which was the headquarters of the House of Life, so that Carter and Sadie could be trained there. So then when they went there, before they had to reach, they had to cross like a certain ledge where they had to be tested. When Carter crossed it first, he was crossing it and he had to keep his balance. But then 3 daggers shot out at him from somewhere that he did not see. But he usually had slow reflexes, but somehow he had really quick ones. He then sliced the first one in half, but it should have hit him in the chest, but he sliced it in half. The second one, he knocked it off and it fell into the emptiness under him. And the third one, he grabbed it with his sword, the Kopesh, which is kind of curved, so he was able to grab it and then throw it into the abyss under him again. So then he kept on walking, and then he saw another Ba. This is again a head of a human on the body of a chicken, but it's not really physical, it's more like of a spirit. So then when he talked to the Ba, it told him something weird in ancient Egyptian. After that, he asked Sadie if she understood what he said, what the Ba said, because it had the head of a male. She told him that he had said, "Go on, glorious king." Then after that, they walked into the first Nome, or the House of Life's headquarters, and they saw many weird things. They saw on their right and left, they saw many weird memory hologram things. If they would have walked into them or touched them, they would feel like they were reenacting or living those certain memories, like the memories of the god Horus, or the memories of Osiris, or the memories of Isis, the goddess Isis. Then they kept on walking till they saw a throne in front of them, but the throne was empty. They saw someone standing in front of it, and he looked so old that Carter thought that he was not even alive. But then he saw the man open his eyes, and he started looking at Carter in a weird way. That Carter felt that he was not looking at him, he was scanning him, seeing through him. But then another man came out from behind him. It was the other magician that was there at the accident at the museum, where Julius Kane was taken. He then told him that this is the chief lector, Iskandar. After the man introduced the chief lector Iskandar, he introduced himself as Desjardins, who was next in line to be chief lector after Iskandar. Carter asked the question, why is Iskandar sitting at the foot of the throne and not sitting on it? Desjardins told him that it is because the throne of Egypt, or the pharaoh, has been empty for many years. The last queen they had was Cleopatra, but she led to the downfall of Egypt and magic. So they have not had a pharaoh for thousands of years, and that Iskandar has been chief lector for more than 1,000 years. Because he was there before Egypt fell, and he was able. The people were able to do some magic on him to make him live for a longer time, for more than 1,000 years. So then Carter and Sadie both asked what were they going to do with them, because before the House of Life wanted to kill Carter and Sadie because they thought they were helping the gods. But the Jardins told them that they were going to take them in and keep training them until they finished their investigation of whether they helped the gods or not. But then Sadie told them that Seth was attacking them and they were not helping him, and that he had killed their father, and that he was trying to kill them too, and that they had seen him in the museum, and that Carter had seen him in his dreams, and that he came back from the Duat. But the Jardins did not believe them. They even told him about Bast and Circuit, the cat goddess and the scorpion goddess, how Bast was helping them and how Circuit was trying to kill them. But the Jardins did not believe them until Zia told him that yes, Circuit did try to attack them. So the Jardins told them that he does believe them, but not fully, and that he will keep investigating, and if he does find that the gods did try to help them, or that they are trying to bring back the gods, that they will be executed. He told them that helping the gods is bad because the gods led to the last downfall of Egypt, and if they were to be helped again, they would lead to the second downfall, and the House of Life and all magic would disappear. After Carter and Sadie finished talking with the Jardins and Iskandar, they went back to their dorm rooms to sleep. But Sadie, for some reason, was not able to sleep, so she left her dorm room and then she went back into the Hall of Ages. This is where they talked to Iskandar and his Jardins, and she wanted to see one of the memories. She saw one that had Isis' horse and Set in it, so she wanted to touch it, and when she touched it, she saw herself in the point of view of Isis. What was happening was Isis was the wife of Osiris, who was the king of the gods back then, and he was getting crowned, and they were having a big party. So Osiris's brother Set came to say congratulations to his brother Osiris. So he gave him a gift. He took a golden coffin and put it on the ground and said, "Jump into Osiris, I want to see you how you fit in it." And when Osiris jumped in, he said that he fit perfectly. And then Set took the lid of the coffin and closed it, and then took some chains and closed it, and then made him sink underground, like how he did with Julius Kane. Then Isis wanted to blast a spell at Set, but Set was much stronger than her, so it did not affect her at all. Did not affect Set at all. So then Isis took her son Horus, and they both turned into birds and ran away. And then Set also turned into a vulture and started chasing her and tried to kill her. And he was so close to killing her as a vulture while she was a small kite. But a kite is a bird and not the kite that you fly. Anyways, vulture Set was almost going to catch Isis, but then Sadie woke up because Iskandar touched her and told her that she has to go back to her dorm room. When she went back, she was awoken again by Zia splashing some water on her face and telling her that they have some important training today. They then met Carter and they went through a portal to a desert place in Egypt that we do not know the name of. She then told them that they are going to start practicing dueling that day. She told them that they had to use their staffs to draw a hieroglyphic that meant something. Carter drew a hieroglyphic meaning fire, and fire came out. Zia then told them that they both have to duel each other to see how strong their magic is and to prove if they are supporting the gods or not. Sadie told her that they are not supporting the gods because their magic is so weak. How can the gods give them such weak power? Zia told her, "Fine, then show me how weak your magic is." So then Sadie got angry and she said that she will not use fire. She will use a lion. She then drew the hieroglyphic of a lion and threw her staff at Zia because she was mad at Zia. But then the staff turned into a lion, but instead of charging Zia, the lion charged at actually Carter, as if it knew that there was a duel between Sadie and Carter. Of course, Sadie panicked because she was afraid that the lion would kill Carter. But when the lion was close to Carter, Carter did something that we saw earlier. It was when Bast did her hologram around her, which made her 20 feet tall. When Bast did it, it was in the shape of a cat warrior, and it was bluish. When Carter did it, it was golden, and it had the head of a falcon. It was a warrior. And he had his sword magnified, it was so large. And then he used it to chop the lion in two pieces, and it turned back into the staff. Then when he looked at Zia, he turned back into normal, and she said that that is very advanced magic and that he should not be able to do it now. But then a messenger bird came to Zia and told her something, and then Zia told her that Chief Lector Iskander is dead, and that after him is this Jardins, and that this is bad news for Carter and Zia and Sadie, sorry. Because the Jardins would try to kill them as soon as possible, and it was Iskander that was stopping him from killing them earlier, and that they have to leave now. And then she opened them a portal and they jumped through it. But unluckily for them, they landed in Paris, which is where this Jardins is from. And when they jumped there were some things that were following them. It was 4 sphinxes, which are lines with the faces of humans, and they were charging them and following them, trying to kill them. Carter killed one with his sword, and Sadie was able to kill one with her Hadi spell or the explosion spell. But there were 2 left, and each one, and one was following Carter and one was following Sadie, and they were about to kill them. But then the 2 sphinxes died for some reason. When Carter looked around, he saw a woman saying hello, and then she took off her hat, and they recognized her as Bast. When they asked her how she came back, she told them that she was circuit had made her unable to move for a few days, but when she had the power, she remembered that they were in Paris. How she found that they were in Paris, we do not know. Maybe because she is a goddess. Anyways, she told them one of the reasons is because she recognized their magical powers because of them being godlings. When they asked her what being godlings means, she asked them if they didn't know. They told her no, that they didn't know. She told them that means that they hosted the gods. And then Sadie and Carter were of course shocked. She told them to bring out their amulets. Carter brought out his amulet, which was in the shape of the Eye of Horus. And Bast told him that he was hosting the god Horus, which was one of the 5. And then Sadie took out her amulet, and it had the sign of Isis on it. And Bast told her that she was hosting Isis, and that means that they could get very strong powers that could make them some of the strongest magicians of all time. And that the reason Isis and Horus chose to host Sadie and Carter is because they have royal blood, the Carters and the Fausts, because they were both magical bloodlines. That meant that Carter and Sadie were the 2 most magical magicians in 3,000 years. Okay guys, this has been it for part 1 of the Red Pyramid from the Kane Chronicles. Hopefully the next video we will have will be part 2. Since this book is 500 pages, we have just reached the middle. Next video we're going to end it hopefully. And then we will finish the trilogy of the Kane Chronicles, because there are 2 more books. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like. Don't forget to also subscribe and click the bell notification button so that you do not miss any videos that I upload. If you want to show any of your friends, don't forget, or your family, don't forget to press the share button. And anyways, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.